A group that helps strengthen the quality of teaching has found strong support in the classroom for a new kind of standardized test. To talk about the findings of support for the PARCC exam by Teach Plus is our guest, a teacher at the Kenny Elementary School in Dorchester, Lisa Nguyen. Thank you very much for being with us, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, for those of us especially who are too old to have either taken PARCC or MCAS, say something about the difference between one test and the other.
Sure. So I've been teaching in Dorchester for 7 years now, so I've seen both the MCAS and the PARCC assessment. The MCAS is one summative assessment that we take at the end of the school year, particularly around May for the math assessment, and then March for the ELA, English Language Arts assessment. In terms of PARCC, there are two assessments that the students take. One performance-based assessment, which is split into English Language Arts and math, and then a summative assessment at the end of the year, at the end of May, which is both, again, English Language Arts and math. One key difference between both of them is that the MCAS test compiles all of their assessment items all in one day, versus in PARCC, there are three English Language Arts tests that are timed, and they are shorter. So with the shorter number of test items, the quality of the test items are higher in caliber.
Now, there is a report, a survey was done by Teach Plus, and by a pretty strong majority here, the teachers preferred the new test.
Yes.
Talk about that.
So after we held two conferences in Massachusetts, and at the end of both the conferences, we surveyed the teachers just to get a feel of how the teachers felt for the assessment. Teachers, during the conference, analyzed the test items. They looked at the test items to see whether it was aligned to the Common Core state standards, and with the survey, we found that 72% of the teachers within Massachusetts preferred the PARCC assessment over the MCAS for two reasons. The caliber of questions, like I said, the higher rigor in terms of question types, and the second reason was that, there was the performance-based assessment and the summative assessment. Therefore, in the future, hopefully, teachers will be able to use that test data to move their student learning.
What's the difference between performance-based and summative?
The summative is, it tests the grade level standards for the whole year. The performance-based assessment is at the 75% mark of the year. So 75% of the standards are met by that time that the students take the assessment.
So what did you think about the two tests?
Well, actually, I gave the performance-based assessment this week, and just glancing over the question items, I thought the question types were grade level appropriate, and their questions were a higher caliber than MCAS. I actually participated in both the conferences in the fall, and sat with teachers and analyzed the questions myself, and I thought the questions were pretty fair. I do have a couple recommendations moving forward with the assessment. However, I did think the types of questions were better than MCAS.
Now, we've also heard some people in educational policy circles to say that we should have stuck with the MCAS because it's practically the most challenging test in the whole country. So we're sort of taking a step backwards. What do you think about that?
I don't think we're taking a step backwards. I think we're moving to the next generation. Eventually within PARCC we'll have it computerized, and that will push computers into the classroom and hopefully typing skills into the classroom. I remember when I was in second, third grade, I learned how to type, and currently in my school we don't, we have 25 laptops per 300 students. So, thinking about moving our students into the next generation, into college and career ready, these systems of using technology at an early age is crucial, and we do need that. So I do feel like the PARCC assessments will push that into the school. Now,
the people who like PARCC say there's more emphasis on critical thinking. How does that get reflected?
So I can't tell you the specific test items. However, I'll give you an example of a couple of test items I've seen. One question, so most of the questions are Part A and Part B. One question will ask, something about the text that they analyzed. And then the second question, which is Part B of that question, will ask, where in the text did you find this? Is it in paragraph 3 or 4, 4 or 5? And then that pushes students to analyze and think critically about, wait a minute, where did I find this, and where am I pulling this evidence from? So I do think, you know, it is pushing those critical thinking skills.
Well, you know, things are going to work that way on the test. So during the school year, do you teach differently? Especially when it comes to critical thinking.
Honestly, I think the shift to the Common Core standards, I've taught the Common Core standards for 3 years now, and I feel like every year my mind is blown by what students are saying, how they're analyzing text. I'll give you a couple examples. We just finished our unit on how inventions impact society. And I had a couple groups, and they were in expert groups, learning about different types of inventions and how it affects society. And I had 2 groups that learned about the same type of invention arguing with each other about how it impacted society and where in the text that it says that. And I sometimes, you know, I was with my little iPad videoing this because I was so excited and tears were in my eyes. It just makes me so proud. You know, I do see that in the classroom through the Common Core standards. I do, and even in math. Students are reasoning, I teach 5th grade, so students are reasoning, we just finished our unit on multiplication and division of fractions. And students were reasoning about, you know, the size of the answer, the size of the quotient. They were saying, well, Ms. Nguyen, you know, if you divide a unit fraction by a whole number, my answer is going to be smaller than both those numbers. I know that because I'm only starting with 1/3 of a brownie. And I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm writing this down, of course, all their conjectures and all their ideas. And like I said, I just feel like teaching in this way is just so much more exciting. It's coming from them. It's not coming from me. I feel like I am the facilitator of their learning, yes, but it comes from them and their collaboration with each other and them being able to think critically and analyze each other's thoughts and kind of feed off of one another, and me just writing their ideas and on the board and saying, okay, we're going to get back to that. And then, you know, I just feel like it's changed the way I facilitate my classroom.
Okay. Thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Lisa Nguyen for our Teach Plus and the Kenny School. Up ahead, the report from Roxbury with Derek Lumpkins.